So I'm gonna get straight to it. I just bought a van. This is gonna be my new home, but I gotta build it first. So, hi, my name is Gord. If you're new here, I briefly lived in a 2010 Prius that I converted into a tiny camper. The whole build series is documented on the channel. You can go check that out if you want. It was a pretty nice build, if I do say so myself. But I was a Canadian living in the States, and I had to come back to Canada for a variety of reasons. And you can't import a vehicle. It's illegal to import a vehicle that's been modified in any way. So I had to sell the Prius. I didn't really want to, but I had to. I was on a road trip, which was kind of a disaster for reasons that I don't feel like getting into now. But if you care about that, you can check that out too. Then I briefly lived in a 50-year-old trailer. I guess I'm still living in that trailer that I slapped a bunch of Band-Aids on so that I had a place to land on my feet while I was getting back in Canada. It's remarkably complicated to switch countries, even though I'm a Canadian citizen. You know, just getting your documents and your bank accounts closed and opened, and everything just takes weeks and weeks. And then, you know, it actually took almost 6 weeks to find a van that was worth investing in. A lot of them were in really bad shape. A pro tip is get a mechanic to inspect any vehicle you're thinking of buying. It adds up if you look at too many vehicles, but it saved me from buying one that had some problems that I wouldn't have been able to notice myself. So yeah, this is the new van. It is a 2017 GMC Savana. It has just a tick over 101,000 kilometers. It is a 2500. Let's see what else. It's the shorter wheelbase. I think this only comes in two wheelbases, like 155 and 135. This is the 135, which is what I wanted. Yeah. So I'm so excited about this. This is absolutely like a dream come true that I own a van and that I can start building a van. So let's go inside and take a look around. Okay, so here's the back. This van was a U-Haul for its first 25,000 kilometers. If you're in Canada and you're wondering if it was a U-Haul or not, check if it was ever registered in Arizona, because I think even a Canadian U-Haul is registered in Arizona for some weird reason. So if you see a van that was registered in Arizona for 25,000 kilometers and then suddenly it's in Quebec and you're thinking, why did that happen? That's probably why. And so, yeah, I think U-Haul probably added this floor mat, which I'm going to take out of here, but it's actually really nice because I can use it as a template for installing my flooring. You know, if you've ever been in a U-Haul, they almost always have these boards on the walls, even in their box trucks, that you can tie stuff to. So I'm going to pull those down. I'm a little bit hopeful that that means that there's like riv nuts already installed or something, but when I pull these down, I will find out. And then I have a feeling, although I guess I don't know, that U-Haul also installed these dome lights. The third one's actually missing. And the reason I think that is because the wires are just wrapped in like 50 rolls of electric tape. And the cable management looks a bit derpy to me. I mean, I guess I've never been in a Savana. Maybe this is really what GM does, but I kind of doubt it. So I'm going to figure that out, but either way, I'm probably going to pull out the stock lights because I'm going to have an electric system in the back with its own lighting, so I don't need the stock lights. If we take a look up front, it's in better condition than I expected. You know, I frankly don't care. This is going to get super dirty and dinged up when I'm driving around back roads and stuff, but I'm a bit sort of impressed at how kind of nice it is up here. Sorry, this thing is facing east right now, and it's morning. That clock is the right time, but I really want to get going on this today, so I'm trying to film the preview before I start taking everything apart. But yeah, no, it's just in good shape. If we look at the instrument cluster, it's got 2 cigarette lighter ports, which is kind of handy. It also has a 150 watt AC outlet built in. So you know those little tiny inverters you can buy that plug into a cigarette lighter? Right? Anybody who knows these electric systems knows you can't get much more than 150 watts out of a cigarette lighter, but it is nice to have that kind of built in already. So you could charge your phone if all you have is the plug thinger. You don't need a special cigarette lighter. Yeah, it's just a lot cleaner and nicer than I expected up here. So, I mean, whoever had this before seems to have taken really good care of it. You know, you take a look at the seats, there's no rips or anything. Again, I wouldn't have cared about that, and I don't think you should either, but yeah, just in good shape. So it also came with this bulkhead, but only half of one. There's only one on the passenger side, which makes me think part of it got removed at some point during the life of this van. I was thinking of keeping this, but I have the passenger seat set to the same depth as the driver's seat that's comfortable for me to drive. And you can see, I'll measure it exactly, but it looks like I'm losing 6 to 8 inches of living space if I keep this bulkhead. And if you just sort of look at how it's attached, it has this, it attaches in the frame like up here, and then it comes down and out in a big way. So yeah, I thought this would be nice to keep because foam board insulation would fit really nicely in this metal. And the metal I thought would obviously be stronger than wood. But it's going to cost me too much living space, and 6 inches in a space this small is kind of everything. So you can see it attaches up there and then comes down and forward the length of my hand. So yeah, I'm going to remove the bulkhead, unfortunately, and then basically it just comes straight down from those attachment points behind the seats. Yeah, here's the view looking forward. All right, so why a GMC Savana and not a more popular Ford Transit, Mercedes Sprinter, or Dodge ProMaster? I think there are 3 reasons, 2 that are general and 1 that's specific to me. So the first one is that this is cheaper than those other options. I was able to get this van within a budget that I thought was sensible, and it was probably half the price of a similar Ford or Mercedes van. To get either of those at the same price as this, it would have had to probably have 2 to 3 times the mileage and maybe have been in an accident or anything like that. The Dodges are cheaper, but the more I read the fora about some of the tradespeople and watched videos from tradespeople, never mind, I wasn't that interested in the VanLife people. I frankly don't understand why so many people are building in a van that tradespeople think is garbage. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. There's a reason why the Dodge vans are a lot cheaper than the Fords or the Sprinters. So that was it. I could afford this van without bankrupting myself. And I think that's really something you want to consider. Bob Wells talks about making sure you have an emergency fund. And yeah, if you can keep some money on the side and get a cheaper van, I think that is something you should do. But I don't think you should buy a Mercedes that's been in 2 accidents and has 400,000 kilometers. So yeah, this only has 100,000 kilometers. It's a 2017. It's never been in an accident. And yeah, it was a price that I thought was acceptable. The second reason to consider a van like this is that I think it's a little bit more stealthy than a gigantic Sprinter van. A lot of tradespeople will drive around in these vans. I see them all over the place, and they just look like work vans. Even with a roof vent, you see them sometimes with air conditioning units and stuff, and they really look like work vans to me. So I think something like this can be a little bit more stealthy than a gigantic Sprinter or a gigantic Ford Transit. It's not, those are valuable new vans, and they're more noticeable to the average eye. And the third reason that I think is maybe only specific to me is that I briefly lived in a Toyota Prius. Now, the amount of space in here is probably 6 to 8 or more times the amount of space I had in the Prius. And in the Prius, I couldn't actually sit up straight anywhere in the Prius. The only place that I could sit up in the Prius was in the driver's seat. Anywhere in the back, because of the height of the hybrid battery, I could really only lie down in there, and that's fine. When I was traveling in that, it was a tent on wheels to me. And when you're in a tent camping, you're not like living in the tent all day. You're sleeping in the tent at night, and you're doing cool things during the day. And that's what I wanted out of the Prius. But for this van, where I'm thinking of trying to live inside a city while I'm in school, the fact that I can sit up in here like I am right now is a massive advantage. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I don't wish I could stand up in here, right? So a high top Ford or Mercedes would allow me to stand up in here, and I'm not going to tell you that I don't wish that was true. But living in a vehicle, living on the road, means that you're making certain trade-offs. And for me, one of those trade-offs is that I'm not going to be able to stand up in here. And then if you think about, how you use your house, Frankly, you probably don't stand up anywhere other than your kitchen, except for when you're moving between places where you're either sitting or lying down anyway. And so the key to the design in this build then will be to figure out, how do I cook in here inside of a vehicle that I can't stand up in? Other than that, I'm just sitting and reading, I'm just sitting and working, I'm sleeping, anything else. So if we can figure out how to cook inside of a vehicle that we can't stand up in, I think that some of those other trade-offs, having a cheaper van that might be a little bit more stealthy because it just looks more like a work van, are things that we can figure out. So let's dive into how I'm thinking about designing this in ways that will get around not being able to stand up while I'm cooking. So let's talk really quickly about sort of my plans for how I want to do this build. I have this software called VanLife 3D that is really user-friendly. You're not going to get like super high quality measurements, so you definitely want to leave some tolerances. Like, don't jam everything in there and then find out later that it doesn't fit. Kind of put things in loosely, and then you're guaranteed that it fits. And if you have a little bit of extra space when you're done, you could be happy rather than finding out that your build is actually too big for this space. What's really user-friendly about this is you can just kind of pick furniture and drop it in here. There's a certain number of like branded stuff that's in here, but it's got a bunch of stuff. Like, there you go. If you wanted to add a beer keg and know if that'll fit, or you wanted to add a bench. And what's really nice is if you grab like these different styles of benches, it'll have some kind of default size, but it's really easy to just change the dimensions to whatever you're planning. So for example, if the fridge you want to buy isn't the one that's in here, like I'm not familiar with this brand, but you're planning on having a sort of top-loaded fridge like this, it's really easy to grab one of these, drop it in your build, read the specs of whatever one you're going to buy, and then just change it to that. So let's take a look at the basic layout. This isn't a high top. I won't be able to stand up. So I really wanted to make sure that I took that into consideration when I was making the design. I wanted to be able to sit down essentially and do all the things that I needed to do on the inside of this van. And because I've been living in the trailer that has a convertible sort of sofa bed in the back, but I haven't been converting it. I've just been sleeping on the sofa. So I was able to take the exact dimensions of my bed in my 50-year-old trailer, and this is it. So I already know that I can sleep comfortably on this exact layout. So that's going to be my bed. And then the advantage of this is I think I'm going to have a lagoon table that I can remove. So that would be sort of my desk. You can see I've used the sort of furniture edition to, add a laptop and a little coffee cup here. But then the idea is this is my table, this is my desk. Across from it will be sort of my kitchen galley. And you can see what I've done is I have a lower cabinet that is deeper than an upper cabinet. You'll also notice that I didn't bother to worry about chamfering this so that it would fit. When it comes time to build, you can get into those details, but for the time being, I just sort of stuck these two cabinets in here, and I more or less have a sense of what this is going to look like. It's not going to give you exact dimensions. But my plan is, you can see this top drawer is sticking out a little bit. My plan is that this drawer is going to pull out and become my kitchen, essentially, so that when I'm sitting in the sofa here, I don't have to be leaned forward or half off the bench or something like that. So I can have my induction hob in here and maybe a cutting board built in or something like that. So I just pull this drawer out and it goes over my legs, and that basically becomes my kitchen counter where I do the work. I'm gonna have kind of an L-shaped counter. So I'm gonna put my sink and my really simple water system that I used in the Prius and in the 50-year-old trailer. I'm gonna copy that again and just have it in the back. Part of the reason for doing this is it's then over the wheels, and I can distribute some of the weight. And the fridge is going to be here too, right? So the fridge is quite heavy, the water is quite heavy, and I'm going to put the batteries over here. So all the weight will be distributed right by the axle here for the most part. The only complaint I have for the software is that you can see my van looks a little bit derpy. It's because it only had the extended wheelbase of the Chevy Savana or Express, the same vehicle. It only had the extended wheelbase, and mine isn't that. So you can go in and you can change the van. I did some calculations and I just adjusted the length. You can really play with it. I think I figured that it was around 85% would be the living space or something like that. But yeah, that's one thing that's a little bit annoying about this, but at least you can adjust the van size. And here's what I was talking about. You'll notice I left like some pretty big gaps between everything. And that's just so that I can make sure that my bed will fit in and that the fridge will fit in. And I'll know more once I pick up the van. And then the other thing I want to have is, because I'm not going to have a fixed bed with a garage down below, I'm going to have a sort of narrow vertical garage in the entire back here. So I'm going to put up a wall, and then in here will be essentially my garage. And I'm hoping to get a folding kayak, a folding bicycle. My whole electrical components will be mounted at the bottom back here. So yeah, this is the goal, the basic plan for the layout. And I think this is going to be really nice for what I need. It's going to have all the same stuff that the trailer currently has in a little bit less space. I don't feel like this will be super cramped. It's going to have more than enough storage for what I need. You know, another nice thing about living in the 50-year-old trailer is I know exactly how much cabinet space my clothes and my food and my cooking utensils take up. And there's more than enough space for this in this build. And there's room for a few extra things like kayaks and bicycles. So yeah, I'm really excited to get going on this.